guys had some really good pit stops.
Oh, what
It's
what are you
awesome.
filming?
We are the Motorsports Authority.
4, 3, 2, hold. All right, we're clear.
Hello everybody, I'm Bob Dillner.
And I'm Heather DeBow. Welcome to Speed. Today you're getting a rare behind-the-scenes look into how things work at a major sports network.
We want to show you how Speed creates television shows in the studios just like this and also at the racetracks, then edits them together and works with their partners just like Time Warner Cable to get them from the lens of the camera to your televisions and even your computers.
And just to keep it interesting, we've been given a special assignment. Along the way, we want to show you how math is used every day here at Speed.
Wait a second, did you say math? Nobody told me about that.
Don't worry, Bob. Pay attention and even you might learn something. The first person we're going to talk to is the Vice President of Finance.
Math, finance, numbers, I guess that makes sense. Nobody told me we were going to have to talk about math.
Oh, come on. Hey, Francois, you got a minute?
Sure, hey, come on in.
Francois, finance, numbers must be a big part of your life.
Oh, very big part. We use numbers all day long. We use a lot of math, accounting, figuring out how much we're going to spend on a particular television show and how much revenue we think we can get by selling commercials to advertisers. But if you really want to know how we use math, I think you got to go visit engineering for sure, graphics, the production folks, directors and producers, and you probably want to go to the track too, because there's a lot of math being used at Speed.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. Hi, Greg. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Can you tell us what you do here at Speed?
What I do is I look to find how Speed's shows are performing with viewers. To track the shows, I'll take how the show does. I'll get a rating for a show. And what I'll do is I'll compare it to how it has done in the past or how other shows with a similar feel or a similar type of content have done as well. A rating is basically the ratio of how many people could have watched versus how many people did watch.
Let's see if Steve Burns is here. He's a smart man. He may know a thing or two about math. In his dressing room, Steve, he's not here. Catch up with him later.
All right.
So this is the production area. This is where the production assistants, associate producers, and producers have their cubes in their desk. They've got computers. They basically build the show that they're working on that day. They have access to a couple different kinds of computers. One has the show rundown, which really is the TV show broken down into little bits. And the other one is a normal computer that they can have access to the internet, stories, et cetera, that sort of thing, and their work email.
People's expectations are really high. They're trying to find something right then and right there, especially with all the technology right now. We have to have it available. We make sure that our Facebook pages are updated, all of our social networking, our Twitter. You're going to want to find it right away, and the way to find it right away is on speed.com.
So a lot of people want to know where all the action happens here at Speed.
Well, it actually happens in this hallway right here. To this side is Studio B, and this is the studio where we shoot Speed Center, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you take a quick peek, you can see it's a big studio area in there, not currently in use. And right here is Studio on the air. Good point. We need to keep our voices down. That's Studio A. That's where we're currently shooting NASCAR Race Hub.
Now, for most drivers, a top 5 finish signifies a good day.
And what goes on in that studio is controlled by the people in this control room.
My responsibility is to keep up with the time as we build the show and then subtract out what amount of time is left to fulfill that show. 6, 5, 4.
3, 2, 1, wipe, roll 71, music.
45 seconds left.
The nice thing about directing a studio show is those sets are pretty much in place as opposed to having to set up a remote where it's kind of new and different every day. We use 3, maybe 4 cameras this show. It's typically 3. And that allows us to have one camera that can kind of be a bigger, wider shot that shows us everything that's more straight on. And then we have 2 other cameras on either end of that cross shoots. We use those angles to create a more comfortable situation to where the viewer can feel as if they're looking in on the conversation.
I finally found him, the man, Steve Burns from the Hub. And how
Bobby
you doing,
D.
buddy?
What's up, man?
Tell people what you do here and describe your job here in the middle of the Hub.
You know, we do the Hub Monday through Thursday, and it's an hour every night. And every night is something that's new content.
We are going to go back to the Kansas Speedway, and
Everything we do is predicated on numbers. How many segments, how long each segment's going to be, or short. Everything is based on a time, so it's really all about numbers. Well, the other thing, Bob, that's interesting about the show that people probably don't realize is how many people it really takes to do it. There's actually 2 meetings every morning. All the production staff meets at 9, and then at 11 we have an editorial meeting. But there's APs, PAs, videographers, videotape. Control room is across the hall. You have a director, an AD, graphics, audio. We're just the end users, you know, and we want to pay off how hard they've worked every single day.
We create basically everything you see on the screen at speed. Anything that moves, anything that animates, anything that alters the look of the images. This is the speed equation logo. And I've already got the speed part done. And the equation, you can see, is got these the lines creating the text where I had no depth and no size to it. I've added some thickness. I can add the edges and add the face to it.
Graphics, they've come a long way. There's a lot of 3D animation. I'm sure kids go out and they see 3D movies, and there's a lot of geometry involved. If you think about your standard shape, a triangle, a square, you're dealing with an X and a Y, which a lot of kids will learn in geometry, but now we have to deal with Z, so we have a depth. So we're talking about cubes and spheres, that sort of thing.
In this area, the Hub, which is the entire ingest and playout portion of our facility, everything comes in and goes out of these 2 rooms. Comes in off of satellite and fiber, goes out over fiber. Satellite, just what it sounds like, birds up in the sky, 22,000 miles up, 22,000 miles down. That's how we get a feed from the racetrack to Charlotte. And then once it gets to Charlotte and we do our little thing to it, we send it out over a fiber direct to Los Angeles, and that's how it gets to our master control.
If you're interested in photography, you can be a camera operator, writer, you can be a producer, engineer, you can go into engineering and fixing things. If you enjoy music, you can be an audio engineer. There are just so many different exciting and wonderful opportunities.
I'm exhausted. Can you believe all the people that use math here at Speed?
And I've never been good at math to begin with.
I can't imagine what it would take to do all this out on the road.
Well, I know the perfect person to explain all of that to us right now. We're going to go out to the racetrack, our own Rutledge Wood. Rutledge, how's it going?
Hey guys, I heard you're checking out all the math at Speed Channel today, and I'm in Southern California at the Auto Club Speedway with over 600 students, and these are some of my closest new friends right here, and we're going to be working on math and science all day. Isn't that right? Yeah! So what do you think? Are you guys ready? Let's go! Yeah! There is a lot of science and math that goes into it because we're not just kind of casually cruising around. We go as fast as we can. I need 3 helpers. Will you 3 come up here with me for just 1 second? Here's the difference between Joseph's track, Callie's track, and Valerie's track. 33 degrees of banking at Talladega, that's because we run 200 miles an hour there. And without that, you'd never be able to go that fast.
We have 4 activities that we have going on in each tent. One of them is looking at different surfaces on a ramp to see how does the tire react to the different surfaces. They're doing how far will it go, so they do work with the distance. So they're dealing with mathematics and science. We also have 3 other activities. One is dealing with looking at how does slope affect speed. So if I make it a steeper slope, is the car going to go faster and how much faster? So they set it up, they come up with a hypothesis, and then they do the math. Another one is how does mass affect it? So if I put 1 washer on, is it going to affect it, or is it better if I put 3 of them on? The last one again is also surface tension, and we're looking at speed and the rate that it gets down to the end of the ramp.
After completing their experiments, students got the chance to use the high-performance math race car simulation game to learn how even slight adjustments affect the performance of their car.
Yes, you made her get off. My turn. Thank you.
I definitely want them to walk away with the idea that, hey, I can learn about math and science. It can be fun, it can be interesting, and it can be applied to careers.
Very educational, but still fun.
You know, the students aren't the only ones who use math here at the track. Let's see what else we can find.
Take a look at the top 10 in points.
I knew what it was like to drive a race car. I knew tire stagger, engine, track circumference, gear ratios, things like that. But I think when I started doing TV, I didn't realize that a 30-minute TV show is not a 30-minute TV show. I'm always constantly amazed when I walk into the TV compound.
It looks like an empty parking lot when we first get here. Get here on Tuesdays, usually early morning, about 7, 8 o'clock, first light, we say. And we start parking a compound. There's 43 trucks in here. It's a 250 by 250 compound. Everybody has a distance that they have to stay within, which is 150 foot. So you have one Kingpin truck, which we call a shared resource truck, and what it does is it branches out connectivity to everybody. They run 23 miles of cable here.
It's important to understand how it's all going to work together. Everything from what size lens has to go on that camera to shoot me at the distance that I am from you, as opposed to, say, here on a racetrack, the distance of the car to the camera. What does it take for me to get my image onto the television that you're watching us on right now?
Friday, we generally take our NASCAR lives and we go into all different locations. So depending on what track we're at, we'll go to different spots. After Friday and Saturday, after we've been moving around to different locations, we come back to the main speed stage for Sunday's race day show, which is a big pre-race show, 2 hours of fun and excitement.
We have a crew of probably 100 people that come in advance of us, the producers and the talent and stuff like that. So we come in on Friday mornings to do our first show.
Just checking comms with you back to the truck.
Cameras are ready to go, audio is ready to go, graphics are ready to go, we're ready to do TV. I was probably like every other kid in school and said, well, why would I need to learn this? I'll never use this ever again. And with my job as a producer, my biggest job is counting, is counting to break and knowing how to count backwards from 10, which may seem like the littlest thing. The timing and math comes into my job every day.
3, 2, and 1. Now we're in the TV compound, and this is Speed's production truck. This is where it all comes together. Let's check out what's going on inside.
This is where it all happens. We've got all the monitors, this big monitor here in the center we call program, which is actually what's going out on TV. And then these monitors down here are all cameras. You see 1 through 7, those are cameras. We've also got some more cameras up here, 21 through 24.
Tell us about some of the ways you use math in what you're doing, because obviously the biggest thing I notice in here is a huge clock.
That is the most important thing. If we do nothing else, we have to start at the right time and go away at the right time.
5, 4, 3, 2, and I'm guessing we're clear. All right, we're clear. This is John Roberts, one of our hosts of the biggest show we have, NASCAR Race Day. And John, do you mind showing us around a little bit and showing us what the
Not at all, Rhodes. This is our office. We have a good time here.
You usually stand over here, right?
Yep. We stand right here and try to say intelligent things.
So John, this is another set behind us for a different show. That's for Trackside Live. So tell me, how does all this work when the cameras are facing this way?
Well, a lot of guys spent a lot of time making sure that the cameras were positioned at the exact right angle, so the focus is not only the people on TV, but also the fans too. Fans love to come out behind us, hold up signs,
like these
yell,
fans right here
and
behind
scream.
us right
Yeah,
now.
you guys go ahead and yell if you want.
They're here early for shows.
NASCAR fans are loud.
Craig, you're our lighting director. So what does that exactly mean?
Lighting director. Well, what I do is I try to make our cameras balance with light for what the outside world is doing. There's a whole algorithm of math that I've got in my head. It's real hard for me to explain, but in theory it works on the base of 2. So to make a light twice as bright, you can move it in half the distance. If you want to use distance, or if you wanted to make it twice as dark, you move it twice far away. Or, since I can't move lights like this, I use different screens and different things.
So it's like putting sunglasses on a light.
Exactly.
Wow.
I'm responsible for the overseeing of the setup, of the complete stage, making sure that audio is ready, video is ready, lighting is all ready, that the talent's here, that the producer and director have formats down here. I interface with the AD, the associate director in the truck, keeping track of times. Our shows are very important when it comes to times. Everything in our shows is all set up into seconds or minutes.
That's what the producers do to us in our ear. They count backwards from 10, and that's how we know we have to time out what we say so we end when the camera goes off, because if you're still talking, they're gonna cut you off.
We may have scripted 45 seconds for you to talk, but all of a sudden, hey, you're down to 15. So, Rut, I think you and I are done, and our time is up in 5, 4, 3, 2.
We got the RF cameras inside with Wendy and Hermie, and sometimes Rutledge makes some cameo appearances on that show. Guys are running around in the garages down on Pit Road. And then after that happens, we strike this stage down again and we do some more moving. So at the end of every speed weekend, we end up in Victory Lane where the winning car is, the winning driver, the crew chief team, and sometimes the owner. And we do a show from in there. It's kind of just craziness all weekend long. We're everywhere.
You have producers, you have directors, you have people that take you to and from the stage. You have camera people on every show, you have sound guys on every show. There's technicians that are constantly wiring and rewiring things. So you may see 2 or 3 people on TV, but behind those 2 or 3 people on TV, there's probably 25 or 30 in the TV compound that's making everything work. It constantly amazes me. I thought it took a lot of people to make a car run around in circles, but it takes a lot of people to get this ugly face on TV.
Well, we sure had fun at the track. I hope you enjoyed coming along with us. But for now, back to you, Heather and Bob.
Thanks, Rutledge. That was awesome.
So Heather, now we know how everything is done at Speed and also at the racetrack, but how does all of this get to our living rooms?
I don't know, but I'm sure there's some math involved.
I bet you're right. Let's head out to the Time Warner Cable facilities in Durham, North Carolina, and see how all of this gets to you.
Time Warner Cable is the second largest cable company in the country. We serve 14 million customers across the country in 27 states.
Behind me you see a number of received satellite dishes that actually receive programming from a satellite that's approximately 22,000 miles out in space. When the signal gets to us, it's very, very, very low in level. The angles at which they're curved reflects those signals back up to that front piece where the signals are intensified and collected. They may appear to look like they're all pointed in approximately the same direction, but we must remember that a very small angle difference on the Earth here where we're standing, when you project that over 22,000 miles, it creates quite a difference and may result in you not receiving the proper signal.
The signal crunch from the satellite receiver goes into the back of the encoders, and then the encoders turn it to IP. IP is Internet Protocol, and it's basically the same protocol that's used when you're browsing your internet at home. The only difference is it's carrying a video payload. Just like when you go to YouTube and you stream a video, it's pretty much the same theory. This is all the IP horsepower right here. This is the equipment that's making it happen. We got to make sure we don't overrun these ports. If we get over a gig, that all the channels are pixelate and stop and stutter. So we have to make sure we stay below that gig level.
There are two central master head ends, just like the one here in Raleigh. One's in Raleigh, the other one is in Greensboro. Out from those head ends where the signals are received and processed, we go across 13,925 miles of fiber optic cable that is as thin as your hair, carrying hundreds of thousands of signals to 4 million homes. The plant that supports that is over 75,000 miles of coaxial cable that interconnects all of our customers to receive the signals into their living rooms.
Whether it's working for Speed, working for Time Warner Cable, designing video games, working in the medical field, working in the entertainment industry, there's just a lot of opportunities, and they all require some math and science.
Heather, when we started today, I honestly had no idea how much we would learn. Who knew people here at Speed use math so much in their everyday lives?
I know, it almost seems like magic. Math makes it possible for all these different pieces in all these different locations to fit together.
In fact, it's like an equation, the Speed equation. We hope you've enjoyed learning what we do here at Speed.
And remember, it can't be done without math. For everyone here at Speed, I'm Heather DeBow.
And I'm Bob Dillner. Thanks for watching.